3%. That is roughly what an Ethereum validator earns today for locking up 32 ETH and helping to secure the network. It sounds modest, and right now that modest number sits at the center of a fight that could reshape how billions of pounds of staked ETH behave. Today, Friday the 7th of August 2026, CoinDesk reported that weETH, one of the largest Ethereum staking tokens, is separating itself from restaking. In plain English, restaking means taking ETH you have already staked and pledging it a second time to help secure other services, through platforms like Eigenlayer, in exchange for extra yield. weETH pulling away from that model is a signal, and the timing is absolutely not an accident. The reason sits in a draft proposal called EIP-8361, put forward by Ethereum researchers earlier this week. It suggests something genuinely radical. As the share of ETH that is staked climbs, the rewards paid to validators would gradually shrink, and once half of the total supply is staked, new ETH issuance for staking would fall away to zero. Validators would then earn almost entirely from transaction fees. Why propose that? Because researchers worry that if too much ETH is locked in staking, the token stops behaving like money and starts behaving purely as a yield instrument. Ethereum would be paying an ever larger subsidy for security it arguably already has. EIP-8361 is a break on that. Here's what that means in practice today. If issuance can be dialed down towards zero, the base return on staking becomes uncertain, and every layer of yield stacked on top of it inherits that same uncertainty. Restaking was sold as extra return on the same capital, but it also stacks extra risk, because your ETH can be penalized by more than one system at once. By decoupling, weETH is effectively telling users they can hold a clean staking token without inheriting somebody else's slashing risk. That is a quiet admission that the market's appetite for complicated, layered yield has cooled, and that clarity is now worth more than an extra percentage point. So where does this go over the next few weeks? Expect two things. First, more liquid staking providers will split plain staking from restaking, because once the rewards maths is in doubt, product simplicity becomes the selling point. Second, expect a loud governance fight. EIP-8361 is still only a draft, nothing about it is scheduled into a hard fork, and nobody should treat zero issuance as imminent. But large stackers, exchanges, and professional validator businesses built their entire models on predictable issuance, and they will push back hard. Watch the staking ratio itself, because that single number now determines how seriously this proposal gets taken by the wider community. So, the takeaway. Ethereum is genuinely debating whether to stop paying people to secure it and let transaction fees carry that job instead. weETH splitting from restaking is the first visible business decision made in the shadow of that debate, and it will not be the last. If you hold ETH, the question is no longer simply how much yield you earn. It is where that yield actually comes from, and whether it survives a rule change. Structure beats yield in 2026. Watch EIP-8361, and watch the staking ratio. Those two things together will tell you far more about ETH over the next 12 months than any price chart will.